Bethesda, the bad lighting in the outdoor shelters is the reason I'm not buying them. Shadowless Flatland shelter? I especially want them to fix the lighting in the shelters. Make the backed and lighting cast proper shadows when we cover them up with walls and floors. Allow us to turn every single light source off. Especially allow us to set their defaults to on or off. Is something I especially want to see for appliances and doors. So much of my atmospheric build efforts are ruined by this stuff. Still wish too that they would bring back the welcome map functionality so we can change the spawn and locations on the shelters. Been dying to make it feel like the players are delving ever deeper into the shelters, not climbing up. And you can run lights to a switch though, right? I know it's a pain in the butt, plus camp budget, that's why I've never done it, but yeah. Better shadows and general lighting would be awesome. Now, I know there are plenty of problems out there in Fallout 76, but in this video, we're going to be diving into this issue. This is an ever-growing problem in Fallout 76, and it seems Bethesda just keeps releasing these shelters, even though this has been one of the top complaints for the outdoor shelters. Some of you may be wondering, what's the big deal here? What's going on? Well, let's dive into this. If you find this enjoyable, by the way, consider leaving a like on the video. The support is greatly appreciated and would also help get this passed around to more people so more players will know about this problem and maybe report it to Bethesda so Bethesda may crack down on this faster. I mean, one can hope, right? I'll have a link down below in the description to Bethesda's Fallout 76 support page where you can report bugs to. Feel free sometime to go and check that out. If you have a bug you want to report to help polish up the game, or if you want to report this issue about these shelters I'm about to be getting into. Let's see if we can get this video to surpass, I don't know, like 1,000 likes or something. I know that's a lot to ask for, and you know, the Fallout 76 community is small, but I think we can do it. I think we can break that number easily. But yeah, as always, that's totally up to you though. Just leave a reminder here in the beginning of this video before I dive into this topic. So what's going on here is basically Bethesda is losing business because of their lighting atmosphere inside the shelters, which, as you may know, they cost a pretty penny to purchase too. So they are generating them quite a bit of money, but they could be generating them even more money if they were done more properly. As some of you may know, the indoor shelters don't seem to be as worse as the outdoor shelters, but they still both have some pretty serious lighting issues going on. In this video, as you can see, I got a couple outdoor shelters surrounding this camp that I'm going to be previewing for you all, just so you can understand what's going on here and why Bethesda is losing business because of this. But before I go into them, I want you guys to take a good look at these trees surrounding the camp. You notice the shadow effects on them? Looks nice, right? And here's another example. Let's go inside the structure here. As you can see, there's shadows around, which really helps the atmosphere. You'll see what I'm talking about when we go into the outdoor shelters. Everything is just super bright. I don't know, the lighting is just out of whack with them. The first one I'm going to be giving you all an example of is the Flatland shelter, which that is right over here. This is the Flatland shelter entrance. Let's go ahead and head inside since you now have seen a quick example over shadows. As you can see, here's another one. The shadows really help with the atmosphere here, but let's go inside the Flatlands and check this out. So when coming in here, you will notice that, for one, it is super bright. Super bright. I mean, it looks nice. I mean, look how much room we have to work with our creativity. You gotta like that. We got so much land here to work with. But check this out. Here's what's going on within these shelters. The lighting is off. And the shadows. It's always this bright, too, within the shelter. You can't change, like, the lighting in here. You can't use weather stations to like control the atmosphere or make it night or dim down the darkness. Nothing like that. Let me go ahead and pull up a structure and just show you what it looks like within it. I'll go ahead and use the same structure you just saw. You notice how the lighting on this structure looks a bit off. Not as much shadow on it. You notice that? As you can see. And let's go inside it. Still super bright in here. I mean, there's some shadows, but it's like they're not really effective in the shelters. I mean, look at these trees for another example that I just plopped down. There's no shadow casting from them. It's like the shadows, once again, are off in the shelters. Or just dumbed down majorly. Like you can barely notice that there's shadow effects in the outdoor shelters compared to just roaming around Appalachia in the wasteland of Fallout 76. The shadows on the trees and the shadows in general and the lighting is so much better compared to inside these shelters for some reason. As you can see here, for a finished product build within this Flatland shelter, by the way, this was created by a guy that goes by XX Dead Hunter XX on Xbox. He actually created Philly Town from the Fallout TV show within the Flatland shelter. And right off the bat here, I mean, look at the trees. Once again, no shadows being casted from them. Nothing. Really good build though, I gotta say. Dead Hunter really outdid himself with this Philly Town build. Look at this. You recognize this place? Where they met the ghoul at? And the whole showdown went down? Yeah. And here's the supply area. Once again, no shadows inside this building here. It's just so odd, right? It's off, for sure. Here's the crew. Meeting the ghoul. Really good shelter build, just the lighting makes it look off. Alright, so here is another quick example over this lighting scenario. This next one I'm going to be previewing is the summer camp shelter. This is the entrance to it. We got to take a bus over to the summer camp. I gotta say, this is a creative entrance to get over there. I honestly wish this wasn't even titled a shelter, but hey, it is what it is. Because this really isn't a shelter, you know what I'm saying? We're literally outside here at supposedly a summer camp area. But yeah, I mean, check it out here. As you can see, this is what it looks like when you first enter here. You're probably already noticing that the lighting looks off in this place. But let me go ahead and just show you all a finished product in here. This is one of the best builds I've ever seen made in this shelter. And this was also made by XX Dead Hunter XX. He makes some phenomenal shelter builds, I gotta say. Okay, so here we go. Here is a finished summer camp shelter build. I mean, look at it here. This is the entrance. It looks totally different. He added tons of trees. It's like a whole little neighborhood. He added this road here. But can you tell what's off within it? Yeah, the build is amazing. But if you can't tell, there's no shadows. The lighting is just off. There's just, and I'm not the only one that thinks this. A lot of the community thinks this about the outdoor shelters. And if Bethesda could just figure out a way to fix the lighting scenario within the shelters, specifically the outdoor shelters, they would be making more business. More sales would happen for these. Some people are literally not buying them just because, well, when building in here, the lighting is just really off and just seems, I don't know, just not in the Fallout 76 universe anymore. It's like a Shadowless build. I mean, you could tell you're in a shelter here. I mean, yeah, there's some shadows here and there, but not as much as you would see regularly out in Appalachia. But isn't this build just amazing? How many trees he added? He really made this feel like an actual summer camp. And look at this. I like this part about the build too. There's supposed to be wolves around the area. What's that across the pond? Oh, is that the Blue Devil? He's creeping around here in the summer camp area. But nah, dude, he did a phenomenal job with this. But what looks odd about building in these outdoor shelters, once again, is the lighting. Imagine how much better this would look if they fixed the lighting. I'm not saying this guy's build is bad. No, this is like one of the best ones I've seen ever in Fallout 76 for the summer camp shelter. He did a phenomenal job with this. It's just the lighting. I know I keep saying that, but that's what this video is about and why Bethesda is losing business with these shelters. Also, another reason why is because some of these shelters are too big in a lot of players' opinions, and they feel like they just don't have enough camp budget to fill up these shelters. Which I don't know if that's something Bethesda could tweak where you could build more in shelters or not, but hey, it's still pretty insane how we get a whole new area that we can just build at. Multiple areas too. Like we can build a lot in each shelter that we make. Not only can we build a lot at our regular camp, but each shelter too adds a lot to our budget. But yeah, amazing build. Just, you know, it's just off with the lighting. It's the only thing that's throwing this off. And here we are back out in Appalachia. And look at all the shadows. If only it could look like this inside the shelters. But yeah, that's 2 examples over the lighting and shadow effects in those 2 outdoor shelters. Now let's go ahead and go into the Triumph Terrace housing development shelter. This is another unusual lighting experience inside this outdoor shelter as well. There isn't as bad of lighting issues in the Toxic Wasteland shelter and the Pit Neighborhood Square shelter. It's not as bad, but it's still there, don't get me wrong. But it seems like the brighter they make these shelters, the worse they are. So let's go into this one next. Oh my gosh, did my controller really just die? What a fail. I gotta get batteries. Okay, let's head into this one now though. This is the Triumph Terrace housing development shelter, which this looks exactly like Sanctuary from Fallout 4, except it's just an empty space of the area. It's literally basically the exact same layout though, which I got to say the developers did fix up this shelter a little bit. They did secretly update how we can now reach the walls of the shelter. Before, we could not go this far. There was an invisible barrier that would block us. Like, you know, they made this shelter smaller in a sense. Like, there was just invisible barriers everywhere where we couldn't reach the walls. But now we can, which is nice. So we can build everywhere in this environment. But yeah, the problem though with this shelter is, yet again, I don't know how many times I've said this in this video, the lighting. I mean, as you can see just right here with this tree. Look at this thing. It's a shadowless tree. This tree is not projecting any shadows. Is that a shadow? No, that's a branch. Yeah. How odd, right? But let me go ahead and just give you all a quick demonstration here. I'm going to pull up a prefab, and here it is. They really do need to have some kind of overhaul with these shelters. What is going on with the lighting in them? I figured making a dedicated video over this would bring more attention to this problem. I mean, literally, let's take a good look at this house now. Whoops, the grass is going through the foundation. Okay, so here's what the house looks like. It's literally the same house as in Fallout 4. It's literally the same house that we starred in Fallout 4. You may notice this is where the TV would be, the kitchen would be over there. But look at this place in here. Look how freaking bright it is, dude. It's like there's, I don't know, a sun in here or something. It's so bright. And that's how all of the houses are. And this is how it will always be in here. This is just how bright it always is. Weirdly. Oddly. You would think the outdoor shelters would be taken a little bit more serious with, like, shadows. I mean, after all, these shelters are not cheap. So you would think they would be more of a finished product. I mean, overall, the idea is amazing. I love the different themes of these shelters and creating our own different styles within them. It really lets our creativity flow. But the issues throw off the creativity within these shelters. Like, the builds just feel off because of how bad the lighting and shadow effects are within these shelters. Now, obviously, this is a problem. Is this a issue that could be fixed easily? I have no idea. But would this be a positive change for players? Yes, for sure. This has been a complaint from players for a long time now in Fallout 76, since they've been releasing these type of shelters. The lighting in here is just unusual. I don't know how they could fix it. Possibly they could make something like a shelter weather station or something that we could use and plop down. But for some reason we can't use regular weather stations that we could typically use at our camp within these shelters to, like, make them dark or make them so they're raining and stuff like that. But maybe they could adjust, like, the shadows and the lighting within these atmospheres to just make the build better. And honestly, it would help their business too, because this is something that's throwing players off of even wanting these, because of how bad the lighting is. So real quick here, I'll go ahead and show you all a finished build within the Triumph Terrace Housing Development Shelter. This was also made by XX Dead Hunter XX. He makes phenomenal shelter builds. But yeah, as you can see, I just spawned in here. Here's what his entrance looks like. I-64 trade route. And if you notice, it looks freaking amazing. The build itself, he did a phenomenal job. However, what's off within this is the lighting. It's just super bright everywhere you go within here. Could you imagine if there was like more shadows and whatnot in here? How much better this would look? Right now, the lighting is just throwing this build off. Everything else is phenomenal. He did an amazing job with this. It's a whole little highway you go through within this housing development shelter. He really took advantage of this road. Looks great. This is more of a finished build. But yeah, you will notice whenever you enter houses and stuff inside these shelters, there's just no shadows. But yeah, I guess that's wrapping up this video. Hope you all found this enjoyable. And if you did, consider leaving a like on the video. I'm out of here though. As always, most importantly, appreciate you all taking the time watching and listening. Until next time, peace.